Okay, everyone taking a seat or somewhere comfortable. The advantage of being up here is you get to take off your mask for a second because you're far enough away from everyone else. So hi, my name is Carrie Abbott, and I have the privilege of directing the Office of Homeless Care and Coordination in the Healthcare Services Agency here in Alameda County. And I wanted to start by welcoming everyone here, but also by thanking our guests who have already moved in here, who are also welcoming us to their temporary homes in these beautiful, tiny homes in this beautiful little village. So thanks so much to the people who are staying here and to the staff who are also welcoming us all to this campus. So we're gonna have a series, we're gonna have a series of people to come up and talk about their roles and their investment in this tiny home site. We're gonna start out with Supervisor Nate Miley. We'll have Director of Healthcare Services Agency, Colleen Chavla. We'll have Laura Guzman, Co-Chair for Healthcare for the Homeless Commission. Michelle Starrett, the Housing Director from the Community Development Agency. We'll have Donald Frazier, Executive Director of Building Opportunities for Self-Sufficiency, or BOSS. We'll have Alan Baxter, Chief Deputy of Operations for General Services Agency. Pastor Jake Metcalf from Firm Foundation. And then we're going to have a short ribbon cutting ceremony with one of the guests who's staying here. And then we'll have a quick closing. So I want to first, hopefully you've had a chance to tour the site. And if you haven't, I want to let you know that the tours are going to continue after the presentations. I really highly recommend it. These are beautiful units. I think everyone here is aware of the homelessness crisis in this county and in this state. We have typically more than 8,000 people on a given night experiencing homelessness in Alameda County, and typically 6,000 of them are unsheltered. The tiny home village is an opportunity to bring people in from unsheltered sites and also to bring in people in need of medical respite. We're very, very thankful to our partners here. It's a new project, it's a new model, and we're grateful to be working with BOSS and so many others. We're also grateful to have the broad support across our county agencies, outreach teams, community-based services, and all of the people working together to try to end homelessness in the county. Specifically, Alameda County Healthcare Services Agency, General Services Agency, Co-Build Construction Services, Shelter Work Architecture and Design, and Firm Foundation Community Housing have played really significant roles in bringing this project together. So I'd now like to introduce Alameda County Supervisor Nate Miley, who has been with us every step of the way on this project and is so committed to this neighborhood and to making this project a reality and prioritizing care for people experiencing homelessness in our county. Supervisor Miley.
Thank you, Carrie, and I'll take off my mask as well. So yeah, this is a great day. It's a great day to be here. And as Carrie's pointed out, there are a number of people and entities that should be congratulated. I just want to initially state that I appreciate the work of the General Services Agency. I know a number of the staff are out here from GSA. Alan, one of the directors in the agency, is here with a number of his team. The Fairmont Campus here, this is in my district. The county has a lot of services here at this campus. And to get this site prepared, GSA did a lot of work on this site. You know, I've been up here before, a number of, maybe 8 weeks ago, thereabouts, and I saw the tiny homes and they looked fantastic, but the site needed some additional cleanup, and they've done a marvelous job with the landscaping and preparing this to be. I know we have representatives from my colleagues, Melissa from Supervisor David Halbert's office, and Jared from Supervisor Wilma Chan's office is here. And let me see, Did I miss any other county agency or department heads?
Healthcare for the homeless.
Healthcare for the homeless, well, Carrie and her team. Yes. Anybody else? 'Cause I just want to, as was pointed out, this is a total county effort, and we definitely appreciate the fact that this has now gotten across the finish line. You know, this project cost about $8 million to do. $8 million. And so there are 34 units here. So that's about $235,000 per unit. It was money well spent, but that's a lot of money for tiny homes. And I've been a supporter of tiny homes for quite a while. We couldn't have done this project without a CARES Act funding. You know, funding we got from the federal government because of COVID. We were able to do that. And there were a number of reasons why this project was so costly. A lot of it had to do with the infrastructure. But we've gotten across the finish line, and I think we can't be any prouder of what we have achieved here. I also want to just point out First Presbyterian Church, because with Pastor Jake, you know, my office has been working with him going back at least 3 to 4 years. We, back in 2020, February 2020, we opened the tiny home project at First Pres. Was it 6 units, Jake? 6 tiny homes there. And I was delighted because it took us 3 years to get that project across the finish line, and it was the first ever in the county. It wasn't a county project, it was the first ever in the county and the first ever in unincorporated Alameda County. So there are a lot of barriers, you know, with planning, housing, the state. It was just a lot of stuff that we needed to chart through to figure out how to make that happen. And the fortunate thing is Pastor Jake and First Pres, they were very committed to that. And so that was a prototype that we could use for this project. And I know we even had a meeting to discuss how we could bring about tiny homes with a number of other parties and other stakeholders. And then ultimately, this site was chosen as a possible location for a tiny home. And I know our staff and Pastor Jake and others came up here and took a look at it back in, I believe it was the summer of last year, and we're off to the races. And it took the staff about, with the contractors, it took about a year to bring this across the finish line, but it's here, and I'm very, very, very pleased with it. Each month, you know, I have a technical advisory committee that meets to look at homelessness with county staff and other stakeholders. We meet to discuss what's going on with the unsheltered and unincorporated Alameda County and what strategies and actions we can be taking to try to address it. And this is just one of those. We have the safe car parking here at this campus as well. And we're doing many, many other things. I know Colleen will probably maybe talk a little bit about the county's homeless plan that we're going to be launching, the new one. So those are some of the things underway. And then also, I have and actually I was told today it would have been the homeless outreach meeting that takes place in that incorporated area. So the staff can talk about what we're doing to try to deal with the homeless issue and deal with it in a dignified way. And the sheriff's office is a part of those conversations and part of those discussions as well. So Caltrans, CHP is necessary. So a lot of entities come together to try to address this daunting problem. And it is one of the biggest problems, not just in the county, but in the state, the issue of the unsheltered. So I want to welcome everyone to the opening of the Fairmont Navigation Center, 34 tiny homes. Alameda County's Home Together report found that in 2020, more than 8,000 people were experiencing homelessness in the county each night, with 79% of those individuals being unsheltered on the streets in tents or vehicles. That is double the number from 2015. We also know that for each individual exiting homelessness, 3 more become homeless. I mean, that's a startling statistic. For every person exiting homelessness, 3 more become homeless. I mean, that's just incomprehensible. And skyrocketing rents over the last decade have contributed to homelessness. 8 out of 10 individuals experiencing homelessness had housing before losing their home. Our county adopted the Homeless Action Plan to invest more than $340 million to ending homelessness in the county. We've also launched the Office of Homeless Care and Coordination at the Healthcare Services Agency to expand services and lead our innovations. And I'm very, very pleased with that office, very pleased that Colleen Chawa, the director of the agency, hired Carrie, and her team is just constantly expanding. It started with Carrie, it was going to be 2 or 3, then it got to be 6, and I think she's up to, less than 30 at the moment, right? Yeah. But it's indicative of the need, and the board is definitely committed to addressing this problem and doing the best we can. And then we also made an expansive commitment to ending homelessness in our Vision 2026 goals for the county. Today, right here in unincorporated Alameda County, we will open the Fairmont Navigation Center Tiny Home Project. And I'm just really delighted that it is in my district in the unincorporated area. This area is part of the Castro Valley MAC General Plan area. So we're very pleased that the Castro Valley MAC was also supportive of this project. Here we will provide some of our county's most vulnerable residents with interim housing and access to safe, clean, and supportive environment. We will also prioritize individuals experiencing homelessness here in Mid-County. We're adding these interim housing units to 92 that have already been opened in Oakland. These tiny home units, this village, will primarily be for those in Mid-County who are suffering from homelessness. That's a priority, and I suspect we'll keep this facility filled. Here, individuals will access the services they need and become connected with permanent, stable housing opportunities elsewhere in the county through Project Room Key. The Board of Supervisors has made a commitment to ending involuntary homelessness throughout our county. With innovations like the tiny homes, we can invest in innovative projects and keep people housed and on a path to permanent housing. I want to once again just thank GSA, Public Works, Healthcare Services, Homeless Care Coordination. I want to thank Don Frazier and Boss, because they're going to be operating this complex for us, and all others who played a role in helping us with this project. And I'm very hopeful that we'll be doing other tiny home projects in the future, because I do think tiny homes is a convenient way to try to address this problem, and to try to address it in both a manner that's both efficient, costly, and dignified. So once again, thank you all. And I believe the next speaker is the Director of the Healthcare Services Agency, Colleen Chawa.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Supervisor Miley. Supervisor Miley, you have definitely been a staunch advocate for homelessness services and always making sure that all of us county departments are on our toes and doing the most that we can to support people who are experiencing homelessness. I'm really excited to be here today, because it's not every day that you get to celebrate the implementation of something that was just an idea a short while ago, and now we're seeing it come to this beautiful fruition. I also want to appreciate GSA and Public Works, because this is a gorgeous site. It used to be an underutilized site for the Behavioral Health Department, which is part of our agency, and to see it transformed in this way is really, really inspiring. And it's also, I want to say, no coincidence that it's here on a health campus, because we believe that housing is healthcare. And interim housing is essential to healing and preparing people for permanent housing options. Today, as Supervisor Miley said, we're launching 34 new tiny homes on the campus. And this is an innovation and a one step in many that the county is taking towards ending homelessness. Supervisor Miley referenced the Homelessness Action Plan. That's a 3-year plan where the county committed more than $340 million in the last fiscal year, that concluded in the last fiscal year. It included a specific element on unincorporated area, recognizing the special needs of the unincorporated area. And we are launching now Home Together 2026. This aligns our next 5 years of homelessness planning with the county's Vision 2026 goals of ending homelessness. So we're doing that in conjunction with all countywide partners and stakeholders because we all have a role to play in ending homelessness in our community. So I want to share a little bit more about the detail of the health opportunities that are provided by these 34 tiny homes. These new and innovative private units will each offer a healthy and supportive and flexible environment to support residents as they stabilize their lives and focus on finding stable and permanent housing. Here, individuals can access the medical, behavioral health, substance use, and social services that they need. In addition, a portion of these homes, 15, are set aside for medical respite for people who are not only experiencing homelessness, but are too ill or frail to recover from an illness or injury on the street, but not well enough to continue care in a hospital. We expect that these tiny homes will serve 100 people experiencing homelessness annually with an average length of stay of about 3 months. With this project, we're increasing capacity and access to low-barrier interim housing and medical respite for our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness. We believe housing is healthcare, and we look forward to the impact that this site is going to have on individuals and on our community. I want to appreciate all of you for being here and welcome Laura Guzman, who is the co-chair of our Healthcare for the Homeless Commission.
I'm very honored to be here, and I hope you all having a great time, because I am. This is a really very important moment. I am Laura Guzman. I am the co-chair of the Healthcare for the Homeless for Alameda County. I'm also representing our Consumer Advisory Board, and I want to say this is one of the most delightful openings I've seen in Alameda, and I'm a neighbor. I'm across the street. I live in Okie Hill, and so I'm very also proud of the leadership of Supervisor Miley in doing this. As Colleen was mentioning, housing is healthcare. I wanted to say that from a community perspective, and I know Donald knows me, we know each other from work in San Francisco in the HIV/AIDS era. It was people with HIV and people with lived experience that says, without housing, there is no healthcare. So housing is healthcare was then adopted by the Healthcare for the Homeless movement in the 2000s. And we used to actually march with the National Community Advisory Board to Washington, or wherever we were. The council will get together to say, without housing, there is no healthcare. So I think that this, to me, a model project for the entire county, I said this to Nate, should be replicated. We should start grabbing more county land, more city land, and create this beautiful, dignified spaces where people can actually not only, respite from the streets, but also be taken care as they should. It is really an honor to be here, and congratulations to everybody who made this a reality. And I think I'm bringing Michelle now from Community and Housing Development.
Thank you all so much. I agree with everyone else. This is a beautiful project, and it's a great site to have done it on. And I think, Supervisor Miley, you are way too modest, because the genesis of this site happened at your homeless technical assistance meeting about 4 years ago, when you said, let's do something on the Fairmont campus. And so we did. And we started planning this project a while ago. We weren't really sure where it would go on the Fairmont campus and how to get it on the Fairmont campus. And as Colleen said, this used to be a behavioral health care site, and when that program ended, this became the appropriate site. And in addition, the Board of Supervisors set aside $2.5 million of their returned redevelopment money in order to help get this started. Hello? Okay, sorry. And that was really showing great leadership, because at that point we weren't sure exactly what we were going to do. And we had intended to do a standard navigation center that would have had folks living in a congregate setting. And right as COVID hit, we were getting ready to buy those units when we stopped, and we had to pivot to something different, because COVID provided us with a much greater risk of putting people in those kinds of units. So it was really critical that we were able to lean back on our relationship with Pastor Jake and with the units that you see here, which he had already taken through the state HCD planning approval process, and he had already gotten these exact units approved by the Alameda County Planning Department and Building Department, so that we were in a place where we could take a project that, as Supervisor Miley said, took 3 years. We got that down to about 11 months because the board approved the contract in November of last year, and we are now in September with people in the unit. So that was a very fast timeline, and we're really excited that we were able to get it done that quickly. I also want to just say a few words about the unincorporated county. I'm the housing director, Michelle Sterrett. I represent countywide housing policy, but we also have a real special relationship with the unincorporated county because we're the housing department for the unincorporated county. And the unincorporated county has over 160,000 people in it. If it had been a city, it'd be the 3rd largest city in the county. And we have 2 of the highest poverty rate neighborhoods in Alameda County, 2nd behind West Oakland, and 4th behind East Oakland is Ashland and Jerryland. And so our community is desperately in need of more affordable housing and more homeless options, because the number one reason people become homeless is because they can't afford their existing housing, and they become homeless where they are. So within Alameda County, in the unincorporated portion, while we might have 8,000 people homeless in the entire county, we have a significant number of homeless in the unincorporated county, and it is our role and our responsibility to house our neighbors. They became homeless here, and we want to find a place for them to live. So many thanks to Supervisor Miley, because we would not have had this without your support. So thank you so much. And I'm introducing Donald Frazier from BOSS.
Good morning, everybody. I want to invite the BOSS team up to stand next to me, because as we know, teamwork makes the dream work. Laura, I want to say, I've been knowing Laura for like 20 or 25 years, and my time working at Walden House in San Francisco County, and we did a lot of activist work for vulnerable populations. Really proud of that work. Thanks, Laura. I want to say on behalf of the BOSS organization, Okay. All right. On behalf of the BOSS organization, we extend heartfelt appreciation and gratitude to be honored with the responsibility to do this blessed work for our beloved community. BOSS represents a 50-year commitment to serving homeless, at-risk, and in-risk populations in Alameda County. We're dedicated to developing innovative solutions to mass homelessness, mass incarceration, and community violence with programs and services tailored to meet the needs of the people we serve. I want to thank all of the people, especially Supervisor Miley and the Board of Supervisors and all of the departments who made this innovative Fairmont Campus Navigation Center Tiny Homes project a miracle and a reality located right here in the unincorporated area of Alameda County for our unhoused Mid-County neighbors. The Tiny Homes project will be managed and operated by BOSS, Building Opportunities for Self-Sufficiency, and the team who are standing behind me. At this magnificent installation, by the way, you'll find 34 beautiful modern tiny homes that include 28 standalone units and 1 modular building behind you with 6 individual units. Each tiny home offers central heating and cooling, a kitchen, shower, and living and sleeping area, along with a bed, kitchenette, restroom, and dining area. Tiny home guests can access paved walkways, laundry, and a program office at the main Fairmont Campus site. So while living temporarily in the tiny homes, our guests will receive support to find permanent housing with one-on-one intensive housing case management, housing navigation services, linkages to needed services such as health and wellness, job training, employment, and behavioral health support. In addition, they will receive on-site meals, and 24/7 staffing and on-site security will be provided. The BOSS team will work hard every day to successfully support our people who are experiencing homelessness with strength-based reinforcements, demonstrating love, respect, safety, and a sense of belonging to achieve stability and self-sufficiency as they transition into permanent housing with linkages to pro-social community assets. In closing, I want to just say I got to get my little activist speech in before I close out. A definitive and clear-cut addition to the model to reduce the amount of people returning to homelessness would be if every guest could receive a subsidized housing voucher. Having said that, I'd like to now introduce Alan Baxter, who is the Chief Deputy of Operations with the General Services Agency of Alameda County. And thank you to my staff.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be a part of such a great project here. You know, I moved back to this area after growing up here and wanted to be part of something bigger in my community. You know, I lived in San Leandro before I left. I was gone for 20 years, came back, and to be part of something that is so significant to the people that live here was very meaningful to me and also meaningful to my team. So I'm Alan Baxter. I'm Chief Deputy of Operations for General Services Agency. Thank you for being here to celebrate the opening of the Fairmont Navigation Center Tiny Homes. The project's success are a reflection of the entire team, and I would like to thank them and express my gratitude for their contributions. We started this project looking for a location. We were fortunate to find this location. There was 2 dilapidated trailers here that were used by health services in the past. This parking lot had turned into gravel, and we had a fire lane that almost was in non-existence. The project came with a lot of challenges. We had environmental issues that we had to deal with. We had infrastructure here with utilities that we had to deal with. And many times during the project, it seemed like it was almost impossible to deliver. I'm happy to introduce to the community and those who helped bring this project to fruition a very awesome team, and I want to announce them by individuals. They were critical to delivering this in less than a year, and we're hoping to be able to do many more. So from GSA, we have Keith Rowan, who is our Deputy Director of Capital Programs. Dana Tran, Senior Project Manager. Our entire GSA BMD staff that was here to pick up the pieces when we felt there were things that we couldn't get done, including Doug Bond, who's our Deputy Director, Rich Lowther, who's the Facility Manager for this campus, and then our professional services that provided services here. AE3 helped with the pre-design study, Doug Davis and Rick Dumas. Shelter Work Architects, Heather Sanders, Lead Architect, and Tyler Hutchison, Project Manager. And couldn't have been done without Firm Foundation Community Housing. Pastor Jake was instrumental in helped lead the team and getting us over the finish line. Tyron, his project manager, he couldn't have done it without her. She was clearly instrumental. And then last but not least, the contractor, co-builder. We put Ed through a lot. we didn't give him an opportunity to slow down or back down, or whenever there was a need to make something happen, he always stepped up. And we have good contractors that work for us. He's probably one of the best. So Ed Wood, president, and Juan Hernandez was their foreman. So our mission is to help residents in every corner of the community with the resources we have at our disposal. This project helped us fulfill our mission. I'd like to introduce Pastor Jake Metcalf of Firm Foundation Housing.
Good morning. I'm Jake Metcalf. I am here representing multiple parties. One, First Presbyterian Church of Hayward, where I serve as the lead pastor, and who, as a body of people, are neck deep always in trying our best to love our neighbors, especially the unsheltered and those who are suffering in our community. From that tiny home project that Supervisor Miley mentioned, First Pres launched a nonprofit to help multiply this, to make this into a movement called Firm Foundation Community Housing, where it's founded by both Taryn and myself, who are partners in that work, and I'm representing them. And I'm also representing the Metcalf family. My wife is here. Joan, if you want to raise your hand. I know you don't want to stand up or any of the above. But we are local unincorporated residents as well. And so this matters to us because we want our children and we want to grow up in a community that loves well and that takes care of all of its residents, from the most wealthy to the most poor, in an equal fashion. I was reflecting on this and just some notes. At the end of each one of our stories or days, we will all look back and wonder. Questions like, what did we do with the time we were given? Did we leave it better than we found it? Did we participate in some small or large way in making a difference, leaving a legacy beyond anything financial? Did we change lives? Did we use our seconds? And so around this project, I'm incredibly thankful and I'm incredibly just honored and privileged, and it's a gift to be able to participate in this. And so I want to say thank you to everyone who touched it in all of the different ways and shapes and forms. Because we did. We are leaving it better than we found it on this site. And we are most definitely part of changing lives, of saving lives. We have a crisis in our community, and many of you, if not all of you, are aware of it. And literally, maybe even beyond that, people are dying on our streets. They're in our neighborhood, and many of those folks we know. We went to high school with them. We have worked with them. We have lived and played and told stories with them, and a crisis has happened, whether it was a mental health crisis or an economic crisis or a global pandemic that has left them homeless at the moment, and a housing crisis. And maybe that's led to an addiction along the way, and then physical health that has deteriorated, as you hear, and I'm totally on board. Housing is healthcare, and you can't tackle some of these issues without it. My family and I got the privilege of meeting a man named Kenny, who was part of our original Park Out program at First Presbyterian Church of Hayward. One of the first ones to park his van. We had a Thanksgiving meal together there at the church, and he sat with my family, and he was a beautiful and kind and loving and fun soul. And my kids loved him. So whenever we were driving around Castro Valley or Hayward, wherever we were, and they saw Kenny on the street, they would always yell at us, "We got to stop and pick up Kenny." And we would stop and pick up Kenny, and we would take Kenny to wherever Kenny was going that day, which led to some good adventures throughout Hayward and Castro Valley. Kenny ended up going in to have a hernia surgery. And I remember trying to fix a minivan in the back, because as Kenny came out of the hospital, there was no place for Kenny to go. And so we crafted plywood in the back of a broken down minivan and put a futon mattress on it so Kenny could recover. He didn't ever fully recover from that. He ended up passing away of liver disease. We were 2 years late for Kenny. But here on this site, there's 15 medical respite beds. And if we would have been here a few years ago, maybe Kenny would have made it. This project is literally saving lives. Some people will say to me, "Pastor Jake, that's not true. People aren't dying." And I'm here to tell you, yes, they are. And if they're not at the moment on death's door, they're on that road. There's 8,000 apparently in our community. And apparently, for every person that we get housed in a place like this, 3 more today are becoming homeless. We have an exponential crisis, my friends. We can't realistically, I don't think, ask folks to recover from whatever has placed them in this moment of time. We can't ask people to recover from an addiction, from a physical ailment, through a mental health crisis, while they are sleeping in a tent, maybe underneath an overpass somewhere in our community. We can't ask them to recover without housing. If we don't provide housing, we are slowly condemning people to die on our streets. And I don't want to be part of a community that does that. I don't think anybody in this room does. And if we don't together, and I mean together, public, private, faith, do the hard work of creating housing, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, find more housing vouchers, create more funding, 5-story podium-built housing, and tiny home village housing. If we don't together, all of us in this space, do that work, we are together going to fail the compassion test that is before us today. Firm Foundation exists as a nonprofit to develop those surplus land pieces, to create villages like this one, to take places where you can't build 5 stories, but you can build 34 units and a laundry and an office, and take out 2 dilapidated mobiles and put in this. From 5,000 square feet, we're doing projects of 5 units, 3 units, to 40 units. We need every single house we can get because every single house has a Kenny's name on it. And that matters. And what is a price tag worth? Can we really put that kind of, I mean, you might talk about the units are too expensive, they're too inexpensive, whatever they are. These are people's lives, my friends. I don't know if there's a number. We have to do this work. The Berkeley Turner Center has told us that there's 5,000 available acres on faith community land. So to all my faith community leaders, it's time to do what we're asked to do. We are theologically obligated to take care of those who are suffering in our community. We can use that space. Cities have usable land, counties have surplus land, private citizens have usable land. We can do this work. Firm Foundation exists to take those plots that don't fit for 4 or 5-story complexes and to develop those into tiny home villages, maybe even steel modular construction stackable. We're working on a couple of those. We can do this work. All of us working together can get it done. We can end involuntary homelessness, Supervisor, by 2026. But it's going to take you, media, it's going to take healthcare, it's going to take GSA, it's going to take the faith community, it's going to take neighbors, it's going to take all of us to do this work. We can do it. We can save lives and do our best work along those ways. And to finish, I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to do it. We have to build a community where no one gets left behind. We have to build a community where no one gets left outdoors that wants to come in. And we have to build a community together that meets, passes, and exceeds the compassion test that's before us. Let's save lives together and continue this work and leave it better than we found it. And in my faith tradition, we say, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Side with Boz and bringing people in from the streets, and in particular Katie and Alexis, the medical directors, Phil Clark, who oversees our regional coordination for Mid-County, and LaWanda Green and Jeanette Rodriguez from OHCC, who really brought the program across the finish line. So thank you all. Whoops. Thanks to all the OHCC and Healthcare for the Homeless staff. And we're now going to honor the opening of this site with a ribbon cutting in collaboration with one of the guests of the Tiny Home Village, and Supervisor Miley and Donald Fraser. Oh, you got it.
Where's the guest? Who's gonna cut the ribbon?
Donna's coming.
Exciting, Nate.
So we're gonna get those vouchers? Colleen, send me those? Carrie or Colleen, whatever?
That was very effective advocacy. We're working on it already.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, as we close the program this morning, I do want to highlight the relevance of this project in relation to the Home Together plan. This is one of the first projects rolling out as we work toward Home Together 2026. The tiny home efforts across the county will serve as a model to others, and we're so honored to serve our residents here. will you please do us the honor of cutting the ribbon for this tiny home village?
My mom is a seamstress too, wow. Hey, Mama.
What's your
Thank
name?
you all so much. My name is Donna.
Thank you so much, everyone. And if folks have questions, we're available to facilitate that. Thank you again for coming.